I talk about self-image, okay, for about 25 minutes. First, what do I mean by self-image? Okay, self-image is a concept of psychology about how do you relate to yourself. For example, when you look in a mirror, what do you see? Well, you see your body. If you're not tripping, right, you see yourself. But how do you relate to your body? How do you relate to what you see? Do you like what you see? Do you like it sometimes? Do you like most of it, some of it? That is what we mean by self-image. But it goes also further. It goes further into your personality. Who do you think you believe that you are or that you're not? So your self-image is a cluster of beliefs and habits that you have about yourself. And why is that important? Because in psychology, we want to remain consistent with the identity that we have. So what you'll find is that you're always acting out of the identity that you have or that you believe you have. So where does your identity come from? Well, your identity comes from your childhood, your past experiences, all the things you've been told that you are or that you're not. So a lot of it comes from your upbringing and then every single experiences after that. And we just assume certain things about ourselves. And the more we assume about it, the more we start to believe it. And then after some point, it just becomes a fact. This is who I am. This is how I know myself to be. And it just becomes unconscious. It becomes a way of being. Now, it's like, how many people do you know are on a diet? How many women or men do you know are on a diet or have been on a diet for the last 6 months? And how many of them actually get any result or can actually get off the diet and maintain the result after the diet? Most of the time you'll find that they go on a diet, they exercise, they get some results, and then something will happen and they slip back right where they started. And it just does like this yo-yo thing. And why is that? Well, the image they have about themselves, the conception they have about themselves is inconsistent with the result they want to have. See, unconsciously, they think themselves to be, to have a few more kilograms or to be fat or not to be attractive or to have some kind of flaws that they're trying to fix. Now, of course, in order to lose weight and so on, you have to take some physical action, right? But if your self-image, the way you relate to yourself is not changed, the moment you stop doing what you do, you will slip right back in order to remain consistent at the unconscious level of what you believe yourself to be. So if you think that you're not attractive enough, one way or another, you will make yourself feel not attractive. You will jeopardize the people around you, you will behave in a certain way, or you will binge eat, or you will do whatever it takes just to remain consistent. And then you'll be like, I don't understand, I don't have the motivation, I'm procrastinating. But you're not procrastinating, you're actually just consistent with who you think you are. You cannot be anything more than who you think you are. There's a great example in this. I have an AC at home. I assume you have an AC as well, right? You turn on the AC. You set it up at, it's 25 degrees right now at my place. What is the job of the AC? The job of the AC is to cool down the place down to 25 degrees. And then to keep it there steady. So if I open the balcony room, or the balcony window, not the room, there's some hot air that comes in, the AC is working harder to cool the place to remain at 25 degrees. And then when it reaches 25 again, it will slow down and remain consistent at 25. Your mind does the same thing. You have a program, you have a multitude of programs about who you are, your self-image. And so unconsciously, you're just trying to meet those programs to remain consistent with the app or the program or the belief, whatever you want to call it, that you input there. Now, the problem is that most of us are unaware of those beliefs, those habits, or that perception of ourselves. Because we've been this way for so long that it's who we are. And we never question it. And we struggle to think of ourselves to be greater than who we think we are. So most often, what affects us the most is not who we think we are, but who we think we're not. Who we think we're not is affecting us the most sometimes. I'm not confident enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not slim enough. I don't have the talent like other people to do things, or I'm not confident enough to do a live on Facebook and share my art with people. all of that will trigger a lot of different kind of actions and behaviors, and it will affect you in life. So I'm not saying that all of us have defective self-image. You may have like some great healthy self-image, and it's just one or two parts of your life where you're not meeting the standards that you wish you had. Or some people have actually very unhealthy self-image about themselves. So the first question you need to ask yourself is twofold. First, where are you in your life right now? Because if you don't know where you are, what result you're getting right now, you cannot get a reality check, a proper self-aware reality check. And the second question is, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be in my life? So every single one of us have goals. Whether you write them down or not, whether you can word them or not, we all want to aspire for a better life, to be happier, richer, more successful, make more money, a better relationship, whatever. We constantly want to expand ourselves for further expansion and fuller expression of ourselves. But who you are right now, your results, and where you are, there's a gap. It's two different persons. If you want to be more successful and you want to be here making more money or whatever, or lose weight, I don't know, whatever you want, right? You cannot remain the same person here and expect to get that result. It's incongruent. That is because the two are not the same. So before you actually get here, you need to first have a look at where am I? What do I believe about myself? What's holding me back? To get some kind of reflection of how did I get here? What's my mental pattern, my emotional pattern, and my action pattern, my habits that are keeping me trapped or stuck, if you feel stuck in your life right now. And then to figure out, okay, so who do I need to be in order to get myself there? Because let's take some examples, right? I gave you the weight loss example earlier, but this can also be applied to money. A person who believes himself to be poor or to be in lack or that there's not enough will constantly manage to find more of that in his life, because our mind is something called the confirmation bias. So whatever you believe, whatever you think about, your brain will show you more of that. It's the confirmation bias. Is that RAS, reticulate activation system in our brain that does that. For example, if you buy a car, or you want a car, or you want a Mazda car, or you buy some shoes or something, and then you go in the street and you start to see it everywhere. And it feels like everybody's driving a Mazda, or everybody has the same shoes or the same brand of shoes in different colors. Before that, you didn't notice it. But the moment you put it in your mind and you focus there, you start to see it everywhere. And that's the confirmation bias. And that is exactly how our mind works. The more you have this kind of aspect about who you think you are, the more you'll find evidence in life to support that, even though it may not be true. But it's true for you. So you will experience it as if it's true for you. That's why two persons can go in the same situation, and one person is having an amazing time and is being very grateful for the experience, and the other person is freaking out, is panicking. What is that? I can't believe this just happened. It's because we filter information not based on what the world is, but based on who we are. And it's those filters that are so unconscious, it takes less than a second for us to create a meaning out of the experience that's happening. And then we have a thought, we have an emotional reaction, and then we have a physical behavior that's matching the reaction and what's happening around us. So as long as you remain in that state of mind, you could say that you're being a victim of your environment, because what you see around you controls you, and you're not controlling you to create the amount of experience you want. Does that make sense so far? If you have any questions, you can just voice them there. I'm happy to answer them. So that's pretty much what self-image is. Okay, as you can see, it's a massive topic, and it's a topic where you need to have some level of introspection and honesty about yourself. And the best way to do that is to look at the result you're getting, to look at your interaction. How do you think? You could even do it simply by looking in the mirror. Looking in a mirror and really thinking about how do you feel about yourself, how do you relate to yourself. And how do you think other people think of you? That's a big one as well. Do you feel very comfortable with friends or people you know or like colleagues? But then when you're like with strangers or in a bar or like some social environment, you feel all self-conscious and you feel like everybody's watching you or judging you. Well, where's that coming from? That comes from some aspect of yourself that you're judging, that you feel like is being judged by others because you haven't really accepted it as part of you. And so you're having some self-judgment on yourself that you project on others. So the others are not the people who are doing anything to you. You're essentially doing it to yourself. So whatever you want to change your relationship to, you need to first change this relationship inside of yourself. So if you have a goal of losing some weight, for example, and you wanna lose 3, 4, 5 kilos, whatever, the first thing you need to do first is to believe inside yourself that you can actually do that you are that person, that you have a fit, athletic body or slim body or whatever you wanna label it. Because as long as you don't believe it in yourself, as long as you don't think it's possible for yourself, you will talk yourself out of it and you will find ways to sabotage all your efforts. And you can take a keto diet, a sugar diet, a fat diet, all the diets together combined in a crazy, amazing thing. If your mindset is not following, you will consciously go back and keep the same on weight. You will. There's no way around it. Just like the AC is keeping the room at 25 degrees. If you don't make that shift inside of your head, you 2 years from now, you'll be setting the same goals and just trying different ways to get there or find different motivation and making different excuses. So toward the end of the session, I would actually give you a couple of exercises toward what you can do to actually change your self-image by yourself. Okay. Right now, I'd like to talk more about, give you some context of application. Okay. For example, I talk a lot about becoming aware of your self-image and what's affecting you in regard to where you are in your life. But another great thing that works a lot for me, and that's easier, I think, especially with my clients, is to have them make a look at people in their life, people that they don't like, people that they judge, or people that they feel like threatened by or envious of. Why is that a good idea to do? Because every person you're kind of jealous or envy of, or that you kind of like judge, is a direct example of something that you hold, an idea that you hold inside of yourself, that is being projected out of you. So if you see somebody who is successful, for example, highly successful, is doing something, is making videos, posts, is sales, and you just feel like, oh man, that's not fair, or it's not right, or you have this envy, this jealousy inside of you. Well, this is because on some level you feel yourself not to be on that level of success. So there's a level of comparison that kicks in straight away. Why? Because you feel like between them and you, there's a gap. And that gap creates that emotional pattern. Okay? So the moment you can become aware of that, you can also become aware of like, oh, what do I believe about myself? Or what do I believe, what can I learn about this situation that is actually creating this reaction in what I see in the other person? Because the other person haven't done anything to you. They are unique. They're doing whatever they do. And whatever is happening outside of you has no effect on who you are. Right? But too often we get caught up in the game of thinking that it does affect us. It does control us. It does label us. And that's because we grew up in a state of hypnosis, to be honest, okay? We're highly unconscious up to the age of 7. We're like sponges. So everything that's happening around you, you will just absorb it. And that's why you see kids, when they learn, they replicate their parents' behaviors. They hear something, they repeat it, they see the dad do something, they want to do it the same way, and we just absorb. We just absorb all those information, and we build that personality. For me, when I was young, I was labeled as shy, reserved, timid for many, many years, and I continued to feel very self-conscious about myself, and my confidence wasn't great all the way until my early 20s, because I was constantly told that I was being shy, right? Interesting, simply because I had more of an introvert nature compared to my brother, who was highly extroverted. So what happened is that the people around me just decided that, oh, well, your kid is shy, is reserved. And what do you do as a kid when you hear that all over the time? Well, you just accept it. Oh, well, it must be true. It must be true. And then it just becomes a habit for you to be this way. And this starts to affect your thinking. This starts to affect your relationships, the way you behave, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself. And the more this goes on, the more it becomes a way of being that you never question, because it's my personality. I was born this way. There's nothing I can do. And all this bullshit that's associated to this. But that's not true. We can actually change our behaviors, our beliefs. You can actually change all of this. And that starts with thinking of yourself in a greater way than you think of yourself right now. And it can be extremely challenging to do that at first, because the moment you start to think of yourself differently, in a new way, that all aspect of yourself will come in screaming at you about why it's a bad idea, why it's not true, or why it's challenging. And it will find you all the good reasons, all the good excuses to show you why you are this way. So you have to become aware of that noise in your head and notice that that's bullshit. That's just a habitual way of thinking, a habitual way of relating to yourself. But it's not who you are. You are always more than who you think you are. You just need to exercise this type of thinking, this type of self-awareness and detachment in order to be able to grow. So I'm rafting on a little bit longer than I thought. So let me go into how do we do that? What is some practical things that you can actually do today and every day in your life to make your life better, to make yourself better? Because you are so much greater than you think you are. We all are. We all are unique. We all have so much talent and ability. We can do, I believe it, that we can do so much more than we actually do in our life. And it's simply a matter of believing and trusting ourselves and going all in without all those patterns that we create for ourselves. So the first thing that you can do, apart from having a look at your life and reflecting, is to make a list in your life. Take a piece of paper, write it down, and choose 50 things that you did in your life that you can feel proud about, that you accomplished, that you've done well, that you succeeded at, that you feel proud and grateful for having done in your life. 50 items, different, and look as far back as you can, big or small, it doesn't matter, and just write it all out in one go. Why? What you'll find is that it's more challenging than you think it is. When I tell my clients to do that, they struggle. They may come up with 15, 20 max, and then they're like, I don't know what else. But what is that telling you about yourself? You're so good at finding the mistakes in you and the things that you do poorly that you've forgotten about all the things that you have actually done in your life, all the successes you've made, all the adversity you faced, all the things that you have accomplished. And we all made it in life through so many things. If you're here in your life today, I have no doubt that you can come up easily with at least 50 of those things. And when you start to engage in that and look at those and feel and remember those, well, you start to feel more confidence in yourself. You start to remind yourself of, wow, man, I forgot I did all these things. It's true, and if I did all those 50 things, how many more things can I do? So by constantly choosing what you focus on, you can actually start to change this. And then it's a good idea to revisit some of those 1 or 2 or 3 biggest achievements that you had and to relive it with the emotional intensity of what you did, what you accomplished, and how it makes you feel. Because when you feel in this way, like a winner or grateful or like a success, you create more of that success. You attract more of abilities in your life. We all know that when you feel stressed out or doubtful about yourself, you're not behaving the same way or taking the same kind of action that you do when you feel unstoppable or confident or like just go for it attitude. So making this list can create that little spark in you that can actually start to shift that self-image. The second things I would invite you to do requires more discipline, and it requires a daily practice, and that is the use of your imagination as visualization or mental rehearsal, whatever you want to call it. And it's to find one thing, start with one thing that you would like to improve in your life. Let's say you want to be more comfortable around people, or you want to be a certain weight or a certain body shape or eating a certain way. For 5 to 10 minutes a day, sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and mentally rehearse yourself being that person. You're not trying, it's effortless, it's done. You are that person. And live it as if it's true, as if it's real, and feel that you have accomplished, that you are that body weight. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you see you've lost the kilos and this is it, and this is who you are, and you feel great. And you feel like your body is healthy and so on, whatever it triggers in you, but live in that picture. And keep on doing that daily for 5 to 10 minutes, conditioning your mind, creating a new vision of yourself, of who you want to be. Because your mind is like a GPS. If you don't input at the destination that you want, it will take you back on autopilot based on the previous destination that you input inside. So if you don't know where you're going to live your life on autopilot based on your past experiences, based on your past concept. So you constantly, daily need to discipline your mind to tell you, you know what, my future is greater than my past, and I will be defined by a vision of the future that's greater than who I am right now. And I will move forward. But then you engage in it, and your mind doesn't know the reality between fiction and reality. Whatever you hold in your mind is true. If you hold in your mind a picture of a lime that's cut in half and that's juicy, and you squeeze it in your mouth, you can feel the sourness instantly in your body. And so this is creating, when you engage in visualization toward what you want, is actually creating new programs at the subconscious level, okay? And the last thing is to become aware of how do you use your imagination for the worst case scenario. Yeah? And because this is tricky, most of us are suffering more in imagination than in reality. We're very quick at picturing the catastrophe that can happen tomorrow or the next day if something happened and this happened and that happened. And that creates straight away that stress. So you need to also consciously discipline that picture that's ongoing in your mind and interrupt it and replace it. Okay? So that's the two things. The bonus one, okay, never two without three, I guess. The bonus one is to be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself and to people. How do you treat people is ultimately how you treat yourself. Notice that all external judgment is self-judgment. When you see somebody who has lost weight and they have a great body and they're doing well and they have that ass that you want or the money you want, instead of thinking, oh, it's easy for you, it's your genetic, it's your blah, blah, blah. No, just be happy for them. Be grateful for them. Congratulate them for their achievement. And you'll be surprised just as much how much easier it is for you to relate to yourself. The moment you release judgment on others, you're also releasing judgment on yourself. And it's just like lifting a weight of life becomes so much easier. So that's just 3 things, guys, that I highly encourage you to do. And that if you do consistently and engage in it and create a vision of yourself that's greater than what you have right now, you will see the results. But don't fall into the illusion that it's a one-time thing, right? If you spend your whole life building your identity today, it will take efforts and discipline to create a new version of yourself. And I know that we live in a world where we all want instant gratification. But in all honesty, fuck that, it's not gonna happen. You need to want it, and you want it badder than the result you want it now. And then you start to see some results. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I went longer than I thought I would. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. If you have some private questions about yourself specifically, I'm also open to private messages. If I can help you, I will. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the talk today. What do you think, guys? Did that make sense? Let me see. Any reaction? Oops. I'm back. Is there still anybody here? All right. If there's no comment or questions, I will leave you with this, guys. Remember that you are always greater than who you think you are. And the only thing that's holding you back is that you're not thinking of yourself to be well enough, good enough, strong enough, confident enough, talented enough. You just don't know who you are. And if you can only remember who you are, then you'll be able to step into so much more things in your life. So remember who you really are, guys, and decide who you are is different than who you were in the past. And with that, I'll leave you